Hey there, hi there, ho there, YouTube. Jumping into a quick climate update. Joe Biden fucked us over yet again. Sleepy Joe breaking a promise he doesn't even need to break. There was no he was standing firm for a little while against the oil companies, being like, hey Jack, stop the malarkey. You already have all these open contracts. You could be drilling, in like well over 100 locations right now, and you choose not to. Well, the neoliberals bending to the corporate oligarchy moneyed interests. This time, big oil. All right, it's big pharma last week. Big oil it doesn't matter, right? You can put they, them on your driver's license, but you can also get fucked by an oil company, and the neoliberals are perfectly okay with it. Let's not pretend that these people are lefties. The oil companies don't need this. They don't need this. But no, we need to drill oil in the Arctic. And you know why they're so excited about drilling oil in the Arctic? Because the fucking ice is shrinking. And they can get at it now. Ooh, we can drill. It's much smaller now. We can get at it now. So while we should be transitioning away from this substance, we're letting these companies run ramshot over us, and they're like excited. Oh, we caused all this environmental destruction. Great, now we can drill in the Arctic. Great. Oh, it's much shallower now. We can get to it much easier. All that carbon that we put up in the air. Because they run their own studies. They know global warming is real. We've all heard the stories, right? Oil company pays for a whole study, and then when they read the results, they shut the whole thing down. They shut the whole fucking thing down. Oh, that doesn't reinforce what our business desires. They know the damage they're doing, and here's Sleepy Joe. Just, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, sure, whatever. Don't you have a re-election to worry about? Yeah, no one really fucking cares. I'm gonna lean really heavy on Ukraine, and I don't know. I guess we're gonna try to run on Roe v. Wade, even though that makes me look like a complete fool. I'm curious what these fucking losers are gonna run on. Because look, I love Ukraine. I support defending Ukraine, but that is not the thing that the United States president should be running his entire presidential campaign on. That's not enough, man. You got to be bringing the motherfucking beef, dude. I'm talking jobs. I'm talking healthcare. I'm going to make your life better. Because the propaganda against Ukraine is working. People are, oh, it's too expensive. You're paying for Ukraine, but you're not paying for me. Even though it's a fraction of a fucking, of our military budget. It's nothing. Even though our military budget's overblown, it still would be nothing if it was sensical. That's how big America is, okay? We're talking trillions and trillions flowing through this country. We can afford a proxy war against Russia at a discount rate.
Just a quick question about how you feel about drilling in the Arctic Refuge.
Totally opposed to it.
Totally opposed to it. And yeah, we all heard it. We all knew it was a lie. We all laughed. The cynics laughed, and the fucking Hillary bots and neoliberal dick suckers were all like, you're the nihilist. You're the cynical one. No, because we know who these fucking people are. How many times has Joe Biden in his 60 fucking year career shown his ass, shown himself to be a complete fucking hypocrite, saying one thing on the campaign trail and doing another when he's in office? How many fucking times? Hundreds? Yeah, exactly, Davey. Yeah. I think you might be right. It might just be we're not Trump yet again. The Clintonian barely squeak through strategy of, yeah, we're not really going to make your life any better, but hey, we're, Roe v. Wade.
Totally opposed it. And I think I'm the only one, maybe not the only one running who's been up in the Arctic Circle. Remember the great oil spill that occurred? And I watched when I went up there, and I went up in a helicopter up on the North Slope and saw what was going on and saw what was happening as the glaciers began to melt.
Yeah.
And how the caribou and everyone, there's a lot going on up there.
Did Corn Pop tell you that story, bud?
Gigantic problem. And by the way,
I'm so sick of this guy.
No more drilling on federal lands, period.
Period.
Well, the Arctic Circle is a disaster to do that. A big disaster, in my view.
Huge environmental disaster. So what did he just approve?
That's what Joe Biden said about drilling in the Arctic on the campaign trail. He was unequivocal in his condemnation, saying he was completely and totally opposed to it. But as president, here's what he now thinks about drilling in the Arctic. As Kenny Stansel of Common Dreams explains, U.S. President Joe Biden on Monday green-lighted a massive oil drilling project on federal land in Alaska, eliciting outrage from climate advocates who say the administration's accompanying restrictions on oil and gas leasing in the region cannot make up for the destruction set to be unleashed by the approved Willow project. Progressives sought for
and I don't get these oil companies. I think they're evil, right? Because I bet you they have all these other open contracts, all these other places they could drill. They're going to prioritize this one. They're gonna oh yeah, we gotta immediately open up and start, you know what? I mean, just like, are they gonna go out there and just start fucking penguins? Yeah, fuck yeah, we're fucking this place up. I mean, I think they get off. On this destruction. They could drill oil. There's so much oil in the fucking ground, folks. Let me tell you, there's so much fucking oil. I guarantee you they're gonna prioritize this and just get, because they want to set a precedent. They want to normalize it. Fucking, they're weird.
Months to dissuade Biden from approving ConocoPhillips' $8 billion Willow project, noting that it could enable the production of more than 600 million barrels of crude oil over 30 years. If all of that oil is burned, roughly 280 million metric tons of heat-trapping carbon dioxide emissions will be spewed into the atmosphere at a time when United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres warns that the planet is reaching a point of no return. So let's be very clear here. This is a direct betrayal of his campaign promise. And environmental groups...
an environmental group. Okay, let's hear the response. I mean, what are we going to hear from the environmental groups? We're betrayed, and there is a proposed compromise. All right, let's hear a little bit more of this.
We're justifiably pissed off because of this 180. The People versus Fossil Fuels condemned the news on Twitter, saying POTUS has the power to reject all new fossil fuel projects that would ensure the survival of our communities and planet. Instead, he is choosing to disregard frontline communities and expand.
Why is this up to Joe Biden in the first? Why is this? I don't.
Fossil fuel infrastructure that will drive us further into climate chaos. Hashtag Stop Willow. The Sunrise Movement tweeted out today, President Biden is set to approve the Willow project, the single largest oil extraction project ever proposed on federal lands. If he does, he will be abandoning millions of young people in favor of the fossil fuel industry. POTUS, it's not too late to stand with us. And last but certainly not least, Climate Justice Alliance tweeted out the phone number to the Biden administration. It's 202-456-1111. And you can also call the Interior Department 202-208-1923 and let them know that you oppose this. Now, the proposed a bit of a pseudo-comp planet for private profits, but as you might expect, it's a dogshit compromise. Kenny Stansel continues, in what the New York Times described as a bid to temper criticism over the Willow decision and, as one administration official put it, to form a firewall to limit future fossil fuel development in the region, Biden announced restrictions on offshore oil lease sales in the Arctic Ocean and across Alaska's North Slope.
So he allows it, but then throws in a little... Oh, but you can't do certain areas. Oh, okay. All right.
While the U.S. Department of Interior said it would issue new rules to block oil and gas leasing in more than 13 million of the 23 million acres that form the National Petroleum Reserve, Alaska, where the Willow Project is located. But given the overwhelming scientific evidence and warnings from even the relatively conservative International Energy Agency that new fossil fuel projects are incompatible with averting the worst consequences of the planetary emergency, climate justice campaigners rejected the president's attempt to soften the blow of his Willow approval by announcing new protections for areas surrounding the extraction site.
So
quote, it's insulting that Biden thinks this will change our minds about the Willow Project, Kristen Monsell.
So he does them at the same time. Right. Little announcement. So we approved him. But we also did a bunch of new protections. But, we're cutting it in half.
A senior attorney at the Center for Biological Diversity said in a statement, quote, Biden approved Willow knowing full well that it'll cause massive and irreversible destruction, which is appalling, said Monsell. People and wildlife will suffer, and extracting and burning more fossil fuel will warm the climate even faster. Biden has no excuse for letting this project go forward in any form. New Arctic drilling makes no sense and will fight hard to keep ConocoPhillips from breaking ground. And
it really doesn't make any sense. It really, really doesn't make any sense. because there's so much other fucking oil in the ground. So he's got the segment here, Biden's reasoning. Let's hear what he has to say.
Now, the rationale by the administration is that this was inevitable, since legally they don't believe that they have the authority to deny the drilling permits to ConocoPhillips. So a court is going to grant them access to destroy our planet for private profit anyway, so why stand in the way? In other words, they're basically arguing that they're not liars per se, they're just cowards who refuse to fight. Wow, so compelling. Thank you,
Well,
Mr.
I can't wait to vote for that.
President. I understand your reasoning now. Now, it's not just that the Willow Project is going to lead to more greenhouse gas emissions, but as candidate Biden alluded to at the start of this video, it really is a disaster to drill in this region. He was right then, and he's wrong now. The Department of Interior's environmental assessment raised substantial concerns about the threat that drilling poses in this region, not just to the planet, but to freshwater, as well as animals like whales, caribou, and migratory birds. But this one company's profits is apparently more important than the planet and all of the wildlife that they'll be disrupting. So,
and it's like, okay, all right, well, say it's true, because it probably is true. Joe Biden's like, I have no control over this. Is he going to use the bully pulpit to change this? Is he going to encourage his, Merrick Garland to do an investigation, or is there going to be any follow-up? Is he going to run on the campaign trail? I disagree with this move by ConocoPhillips, and I'm going to do everything in my power legally to change this. No. He's going to sweep it under the rug. Nothing I can do. It's the classic neoliberal. Well, I would really love to be fucking progressive. I'd really love to be a lefty here, but I had no choice. Well, I guess I'm a corporate whore. Whoops. Classic shit. Nothing we can do. Sweep it under the rug. Move on. Whoops, we got no control over that. It's the same glib fucking response you get when you talk to them about campaign contributions. Oh, well, we have to take campaign contributions. The right wing take it. You wouldn't want us to be weaker against the right wing. Oh, got no choice. Oh, well, I guess we're corrupt. Can't fix anything. Thank you, Humanist Report. I really enjoy that. Make sure you like and subscribe to Mike Figurino, the out and proud communist, runs the Humanist Report. Last little bit of climate news. CNN chief climate correspondent Bill Weir traveled to Antarctica after scientists warned that the vital sea ice is disappearing at record speeds. Yeah, he's all right. I like Mike Figurino. He's all right.
Our chief climate correspondent Bill Weir here now with more details from your latest assignment. This was your 7th continent.
Yeah.
You got to check that box.
Exactly.
The pictures are stunning. What did you find in addition to these beautiful vistas?
What I found was that these iconic species at the South Pole are already being forced to adapt in dramatic ways because of our warming planet. We made landfall. One of the first times you step foot in the Antarctic Peninsula, you're greeted by colonies of penguins, the cutest creatures arguably on the planet. My toddler loves them. But soon sort of the wonder turns to worry when you realize that a lot of these nesting moms, those chicks and those eggs, there's no way they can survive because they got freakishly late snow. They're supposed to be hatched by Christmas, but like we've had bizarre weather patterns in the States, they're seeing the same thing down there. At the same time, as the sea ice goes away, that is the key habitat for krill, the little shrimp-like creatures that are at the bottom of the food chain. They feed everything from the penguins to the seabirds to the humpback whales. And now ecologists, we were hanging out with whale specialists who have proven that when sea ice goes down, krill goes down, and humpback whale pregnancy rates go down. We were using darts on crossbows. That's how you give a pregnancy test to a humpback whale, to take a blubber sample, also measure their stress levels. And so, penguins and whales are sort of our metaphorical canaries. What's happening down there, the water under those glaciers is heating up so much, it's melting that sea ice. And then, of course, we worry about our lives being impacted. It's sea levels from Miami to Shanghai. If one of those big glaciers, like the Thwaites Glacier, breaks loose.
Wow. I mean, listen, such stunning pictures there. I'm envious, but also tremendously important reporting. So you actually found some hope down there. Please share it.
I did, Jim. I did. I came.
And does anyone believe CNN is going to do an expose on ConocoPhillips or a follow-up on the failure of the neoliberal Joe Biden administration to, push back on ConocoPhillips? Or, are they going to? No, they're going to let Joe Biden with his stupid, pithy excuse, well, it just legally couldn't do nothing about it, and they're just going to let it ride because guess who fucking pays their fucking paychecks? I guarantee you ConocoPhillips got some advertising with CNN. It's a motherfucking game, and you ain't in it, y'all. The club, and you ain't in it. And they're playing a game on you. That's what I was trying to say.
Realizing that Antarctica is sort of like this cold laboratory of human cooperation. It's the only place on the planet not owned by any countries. It's set aside for peace and science. How often do you hear that combination of words, right? And since the Antarctic Treaty in the late 50s, when 12 nations signed on, there's now 55 nations. They stopped the slaughter of humpback whales back, our great-grandparents' generation, killed them by the millions. They would kill the penguins, use their blubber to grease the machines to kill the whales. It was just decimation industry down there. All of those species, many of them have come back fully now. There are other new pressures, the climate change, ocean pollution, ghost nets, shipping traffic that threatens these creatures as well. But as an example of what can happen if humanity agrees on something, some people even think we should use Antarctica as a model for how to behave in space as the human race and how to think about colonizing the moon or other planets in a cooperative way. So we learned our lesson down there. The question is, can we keep that going and extend it, create blue corridors for some of these massive creatures that it turned out to be our biggest climate allies for the services they provide the planet for free? So I came back inspired of what we're capable of when it comes to realizing our limits and then pulling back and letting nature keep.
CNN, who has no intention on being an ally for climate, using this slick motherfucker over here for a nice little feel-good PR story, turning a story that should be a big call to arms and a big warning to the world, turning it into kind of a puffy little piece of, hey, maybe it's not so bad. I don't know, kind of wishy-washy. I don't mean to be a cynic, but I am more and more convinced that we will have to deal with. I think we're going to have to deal with the fact that shit is just going to have to get a certain amount of bad. Will nobody listen until it just it's too late? Is that just the cynical reality of it? I really don't want that to be. Like, I'm abandoned nihilism. I want to find hope, but and you've talked to your family and friends. They're like, I care, but I don't really care, kind of situation. And it is an existential threat to large swaths of human civilization. This isn't the end of humanity by any means, but this can change our reality, our day-to-day, very dramatically. There you go. That's your climate update. Lots of good news. Thank you, YouTube.